Hi parents, it's Kristen Boggs, the junior high pastor here at North Coast Church in Fallbrook, and this is your weekend recap. Just like last week, we're still in our 3D Jesus series, and we're still in the Beatitudes. We have one more to go after this week, but we did the 7th Beatitude, the one in Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. And so what we did is we talked about what does it mean to be a peacemaker, not only have peace in your life and in your relationships, but be a maker of peace. In Hebrews, it says, as long as it depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Make every effort to live peaceably with all men. And so I challenge the students to look at the relationships in their life and see where peace needs to be restored, whether that's with friends or family or even siblings who we can dismiss as, well, sometimes we just fight with them, but where does peace need to be restored in our life? And sometimes we can't control how other people respond to us, but as long as it depends on us, we can, with a clean conscience, say, I've made every effort to make peace in this situation. And so we took that a little bit further and said, well, how can we make peace in the situations around us? And we looked at peace like a chain. And when there's peace, there's all the chains are attached and they're holding strong. Well, when something happens and peace is lost, it's like one of those links is now missing and there's a disconnect, and a peacemaker comes in as that missing link. And so we looked at the story of Abigail in 1 Samuel 25, and we looked at the courage that she showed to try to restore peace between her husband Nabal and David, because David was coming to kill her husband. You could read the whole story if you don't already know it. And there was a dispute, kind of a disagreement there, and Abigail inserted herself in the situation and brought peace to her household, and brought peace in between David and Nabal, and actually ended up marrying David, which was a cool ending to the story. The girls liked that one. So we talked about 3 things. Number 1, understanding the priority of peace, that God calls his children to be peacemakers and to exhibit peace in their own lives. So the second one is knowing that sometimes there's a price attached to peace, that sometimes it is a risky thing to be a peacemaker. God paid the ultimate price for peace in reconciling us to God, sinful man and a holy God. Peace was such a priority to God that he sent Jesus to die for us. And that was the ultimate price of peace. We talked about some figures in history that also exhibited this, and the kids knew Martin Luther King. They said Gandhi, Mother Teresa, and we talked about some other people that, Mother Teresa didn't have to die for her peace, but the other 2, we talked about Martin Luther King and Gandhi and the nonviolence there, and how their cause was for peace was more important than them, that they could see outside of themselves and to enter into a peacemaking position for others on a behalf of somebody else. And the third one is that there's a big payoff to peace, and that peace is its own reward, because when we restore peace, we're the ones that get to enjoy it. And so maybe a cool follow-up conversation with your student would be just to challenge them to say, look at the relationships in your life. As much as it affects you, are there any areas where there's not peace between you and somebody else, or maybe between you and God? Maybe there is an area that you're really struggling with and holding back from him. Maybe there's an area that you need to surrender to him to put peace in that relationship. And then take it one step further into that outer circle of other people. Maybe there's a couple friends that aren't getting along. Maybe there's an issue where they could be a peacemaker to insert themselves, like Abigail, into a situation to restore peace somewhere, and see if they can identify something like that. And then talk about, well, why is peace important to the heart of God? And see if they're starting to get what we're trying to accomplish in this 3D series is taking all these qualities and looking at what Jesus says, and then saying, well, what does that communicate about the heart of God? And see if they can start to pick up on that glimpse of God's heart that's communicated through this beatitude, Matthew 5:9. And making that connection to the cross, I think, is really important, and that Jesus paid the ultimate price for the peace between us and God, and see if they can start identifying the way Jesus exhibited that. So Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.